Hello everybody, Jonathan Reeves here with another Vectorworks tutorial, and today we're going to look at modelling really complex landscapes. Got a really nice little example of a play park that I've developed, just a fun project, but I'm really hoping to show you how cool it is to model really complicated landscapes in Vectorworks in no time at all. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to set the scale to 1 to 100, and we're going to start by double clicking onto the rectangle tool and just generating a shape. We're going to do like 30 meters and say 25 meters and pop it into 3D, and we're just going to extrude that up, say, let's go for 5 meters to begin with. Okay, so we'll pop it into rendered mode, just make it solid of course so you can actually see it rendered. And basically let's now start to carve away at this space. You can see that I'm double clicking onto the snapping palette. I'm just going to change the distance for snapping to be 5 meters. So what this means is every 5 meters along the edge of the shape, you'll get these along line snap points now. So we can easily subdivide the shape, clicking on there, and I'm doing this with an arc as you can see, and basically I'm going to click on that surface, let's come out another 5 meters, and then I can basically click and push and pull using that arc to split the surface of the form. Now that's really cool, really nice easy way to create some steps. So what we'll do now, we'll pop it into 3D view and we'll basically get our polyline tool. Make sure you're using the fourth mode of this tool, and basically we're going to draw again on the surface of the model. Just make sure that you're using the automatic plane, just seeing if I can find those snaps. Doesn't really matter because we're just going to eyeball this in, double click, and I should find, if I do this right, I can snap to that surface. I think I might have just missed it. There we go. And just pull that down. Made a little glitch at the end, but we can sort that out easily. So I'm just bringing that down by, say, 1 meter. Let's go ahead and do the same on this side. Click and bring that down. Again, just to create a couple of nice sort of terrace type forms. And we'll carry on with this. This is going to be the sort of terrace of our play park. As you can see, I've not really pre-planned what we're modelling, just having a bit of fun. And I've said before many a time, this is a great way to work. Okay, so we're just popping this final little terrace here. Let's extrude down -1 meter again, just to kind of round that off. Have a little spin around and admire your handy work as ever. Okay, so now we're going to make this a lot more soft, like a tree landscape would be. So I'm going to go onto the 3D fillet edging tool, and I'm basically going to set a radius up at the top there, and just basically click and highlight. Now you can easily modify those if you want to, and with the good thing about modification is you can reselect the highlight, can you see, and hold shift down, select other edges, and then click tick. So all 4 of those basic fillets were in the same command. Let's see if we can do the same thing on these ones. It might be better to do those individually, to be honest. So let's have a little look. Get the 3D fillet edge tool. I'm just going to basically select, holding shift down, these individual edges. Sometimes they get broken up. So brilliant, that's great. I can do both of those together, and we'll just go modify, select those other 2 edges, they're a bit cleaner, and click tick again. Now it's a lot more efficient to do all the filleting in 1 or 2 operations rather than sort of 4 individual separate ones. And the real beauty of that is you can then change the fillet radius, as I just did, for multiple steps. So already this landscape's coming on, it's looking quite nice. Again, we're just going to go and fillet this edge here. Let's click tick, see how that works there. You can see the bit that wasn't filleted, but that's no problem at all. Just click modify, that goes back in, hold shift down, select the additional edges, and basically when you're ready, hit return or click the green tick once again, just to reapply that fillet radius, and just do that final little touch there. Excellent, so we've kind of rounded off our complicated landscape after we've done our subtractions, and it's kind of looking quite interesting already, and we'll just kind of play around with those numbers a bit on the fillet edge tool. Fantastic. Okay, good. So I think what we'll do now is we're going to use the sphere tool. I'm going to see if I can snap that to the midpoint there. I'm just going to do a great big sort of feature into the landscape here using a sphere. Just popped it into the front view because I want to make sure that when we do subtract solid, the sphere doesn't actually completely go through the whole object. So subtracting solids is wonderful. It just means that we can take that sphere away from that landscape. And again, once again, with the fillet edge, in fact, let's go for chamfer edge this time. Chamfer creates a much harder line, as you can see, not curved. And there's no reason why you can't then use the fillet to sort of soften it and combine. So later on, you'll see that this is going to become some sort of water feature or pond or something like that in my ideas. Okay, brilliant. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move on to the next little level where I'm going to click the extracting tool. I'm going to extract some surfaces. I'm just going to extrude those by, say, 30 millimeters. I'm going to pop into my resources and I'm going to browse a document. Now, we've been working really hard lately on some amazing new texture packs, 2 and 3. So please hop onto the store and check those out. They're really good value. They're really, really enjoyable to use. And I'm just going to show you a quick example of these now when I can find it. This is the Texture Pack II. And what you're going to see is it's beautifully organized in folders with some really nice high quality materials that you can just drag and drop onto your models. Now there's all sorts of landscape materials, there's brick, there's asphalt, lots of really cool construction materials as well. So there's something to play around with, but they're really high quality and basically, you know, they're sort of selected for you individually by us. Okay, great. So I hope you enjoyed the texture packs. You'll see I'll be using those a bit more as we go through. Now what we're going to do is extract some more complicated surfaces. Now if you do extract surfaces, try and get them to be planar if they can be, but if they're not planar, if they're clearly curves like these two, what you can do is just use the shelling tool. Okay, so make sure you shell inside or outside, get the right direction. I'm just going to click on that one and do 30 mil. Click, tick. I think again, change it to outside, change that one to outside as well there, and change the numbers. The great thing with the shell tool is you can change it afterwards, and I think the last thing was just that click outside. You can see, yeah, if you go inside, obviously it's going to go inside the landscape. Finally, what we'll do is we'll add solids. So all of that surface, that's a really cool surface, is just one big solid element. Okay, so I'm going to kind of carry on a bit in this vein using the extracting tool. If you do extract multiple surfaces in one go like I just did, what you notice is they can become grouped. You can just ungroup them. And once again, we can just extract them. So we can hold shift down, we can extract them all as one go if we would like to. Let's just make sure this time we're going outside by default by 30 mil. Let's click and tick. So they get extracted into one really nice object. We didn't even need to add solids, and that's a different way of working. We can put a nice new different sort of texture onto those. So this method of sort of extracting surfaces, giving it a little bit of an, should we say, extrusion via the shelling tool, is just a wonderful way to work on sort of really complex curved surfaces, so that you can actually extract and basically texture up these with different materials really. And you can think this would be quite a complex process, but Vectorworks makes this super easy. So I'm really enjoying myself here. I'm just going to kind of do the same thing, click and tick, really, really complicated surface. And let's just use the eyedropper tool to copy that sort of nice texture there onto that surface. So it's really coming on. I think we're going to do a few more different surfaces in here, just into this sort of feature here, this water feature. In fact, what we'll do actually, just put a little wall up on the top, I think. So basically I'm just going to tab in some numbers. Let's do about 500 mil. I'm just going to bring that up, say 3 meters, just to create a kind of bit of an end point to this urban design. Okay, so I'm going to use my arc tool. I'm going to use the fifth mode of that one you can see. I'm just going to create like a little arch because I just want to show you how simple it is to kind of cut holes in the shape using the arc tool. And again, just by pushing and pulling, that subtracts immediately through that shape just to create a nice little feature there. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of extract the textures from the wall. Let's ungroup them, and then we simply click on them and do Command E, Model Extrude. Just bring them out 1 mil. 1 mil is the minimum you kind of need, like a wallpaper really, just to assign some nice texture. So we're going to go on and put some really cool timber cladding, I think, on those. Let's zoom in a bit and use the eyedropper just to kind of have a look at that. And basically let's extract this final surface here. Let's extrude again by 30 mil this time. And I think this will be a really nice sort of wooden deck on my kind of park. Okay, so you're getting the idea. Once you've carved away at the form using NURBS curves or regular curves and use the push-pull tool, then really the next little step might be the filleting and the chamfering to create some really interesting sort of landforms. And then finally what we can do is we can start to extract those surfaces, either shell them or extrude them depending on how complicated they are. and then we can basically start to texture them up. Ideally, get yourself a texture pack like mine, or collect your own textures. And you can see that I often use the search command to search for things like grass, where I know that I've created nice grass before for previous projects, so I can kind of look for that. Excellent. So we're just going to finish off this little feature here, this little water feature as it were. Let's ungroup once again, and we'll just shell them one more time, and basically we'll do the bottom thing too as another shell. So back into our texture pack, it's already opened at the top there. Let's go for some different materials here, pop into some nice stone, double click or click OK just to apply that stone. It gets really nicely mapped on, and we'll do the same thing again with this extract tool here, just to kind of extract that surface there and that one. And basically I think what we'll do is use the eyedropper tool again just to kind of match that material. But look how cool that looks really detailed already. So just the addition of some nice quality textures is often, you know, the difference between a sort of very basic model and a more detailed one. So we're just going to pop a surface in here, and basically I'm just going to raise that up. So using the B key, I've got my X-ray fill mode, I'm just going to bring that up to the surface where it needs to sit. And let's pop in some nice additional stone, a different type. Go for a really nice red ashlar sandstone, just as a bit of contrast in this little kind of water feature here. Okay, brilliant. Now, I'm really enjoying having a bit of fun, as you can tell. The next thing I think we'll do is we'll try and add a bit more detail to our model. So let's go ahead and just tweak basically some people. I've used these people in a few tutorials now. If you have not seen my other complex Vectorworks videos, please check those out. Got some really nice videos on how to make walls and complex forms and ceilings. I'm just enjoying sort of, you know, these tutorials where they're not necessarily real projects. They're just a chance to try out and play with some things that you don't get to do on an everyday project. Then when we, you know, get the everyday projects, we actually kind of can be a bit more adventurous with the kind of tools and techniques we're going to use. Okay, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop in some trees after we've dropped our people in. I'm just going to double click and see how this tree looks. It might not be the one I'm going to go for this particular model. Actually, that's cool. I'm going to go for that nice sort of very tall, popular tree. So hold down the Alt key, dragging off a few copies and then duplicating. I'm going to select those, use my mirror command or just drag them across, and let's have a quick look. Yeah, that's really cool. That's kind of the effect I'm after. Possibly a bit tool actually. So what we'll do, we'll use our one tool or select similar tool. Just pop into the settings. Remember, every time you use that tool, just to check, click on the VB trees, and with one click I can basically modify and just adjust the size. I really like the VB trees. They're very high quality in Vectorworks. They're quite quick to use, surprisingly detailed, and they don't really slow it down at all once they're in the model. They really kind of enhance this little park we're doing here. Okay, great. So I think what we need here is some benches, some street furniture. So use the search dialog in the resources manager to search. And the great thing with Vectorworks, it does honestly ship with absolutely hundreds, if not thousands, of really nice materials, textures, and libraries of objects. I mean, not all of them will be to your taste, but of course that's, you know, subjective. My advice is to try to kind of search through the libraries, see the bits that you actually like to use, and maybe kind of collect those together in your own libraries. And that's something that you'll see I've done quite a lot of on my website and on the store. So I really like this this kind of bench feature here. I've seen this used in urban designs, in the real world actually. So this is cool. I can find the library that it's coming from, and I can basically just double click into my model. Because my automatic plane is activated, you'll see it just nicely snaps onto those surfaces. So just working in real time here, it's just really, really fast in rendered mode. I can just sort of freeform and place those fairly quickly. I think we'll go in and let's see what else we've got here. A couple of little kind of seats. Let's just get a bit more detail in there. Just pop those in. And yeah, brilliant. It's great fun. If you want to, you can click and you can actually rotate these just to show you. So if you want to rotate them to different orientations, you can. Otherwise, a double click will simply drop them in. Okay, so we're going to go for a fountain search. Let's look and see what we come up with. Now, there's a bit of a wide variety of fountains. Again, not all of them to my taste necessarily, but the thing is, they're a good starting point. You can always edit these and adapt them. But the other thing you could do is go onto the SketchUp warehouse and do check out my other videos where I actually show you how to build custom libraries of plants or furniture from SketchUp, for example. And they work really well in Vectorworks. They'll import. But I'm pretty happy with that. In fact, maybe on second thoughts, I'll double click this sculpture here. And let's see where we want to place this. Let's place this up onto the center area here, just sort of for a bit of fun. Not quite sure where I want to put this at the moment. See if I can snap it to that middle section there. That's cool. So it just kind of links up a little bit more sculptural, that one, which I'm happy with. We're going to search for the final thing, some play equipment. A good park, we've got to have some nice kids play equipment in there. And if you do search, you'll find quite a big range of things, I'm sure. There we go. I think I like something like this. So I'll double click. It's like a kind of cool dragonfly seat. Kids would love that. So let's just pop that into the part there. And what else have we got? Some more benches. So a few more benches in the design. Let's perhaps put those over the other side, just for a bit of variety. And really like the look of this. It's like a climbing frame. It's quite detailed. I suppose in a way, the thing with library elements is, yes, you've got to be a bit selective with what you use, make sure it's appropriate for your model, but they do speed up your process. So, if you're prepared to kind of search around and look for these or build your own libraries, that's a really, really nice thing to do to save some time. So I think what we'll do, we'll double click and put these down on this little terrace here. And let's have a look and see. Now it'll take a while to load in. It's really detailed, as you can see. It's nicely modelled, and that's ready to go. So I think we'll just change view back to top plan. Let's delete a couple of those trees. They're a bit near that play park. We'll just save our model. Okay, so it's always important. Remember to save as we go. Save it to just the desktop for now. That's fine. Let's delete a couple of those trees. Give this a bit of breathing space to the kind of climbing frame area there. It's pretty cool. I think what we'll do is we'll actually move that up to a slightly more central position and rotate it round because it was nicer from that side. There's our little dragonfly seat. Let's just rotate that round as well. Have a quick spin around. Yeah, it's looking good. So we've got a bit of detail coming into our model, and I'm pretty happy with this. I think we just need a few more people. So let's just drag in a few kind of families and stuff. So they're enjoying their time in the park. Really, really quick. Once you've got all these things, they take no time. Actually making them in the first place, of course, takes a little bit of time. But that's the beauty with investing in things like libraries. So yeah, I really recommend you spend some time developing all these things. Now these are image props, and they really are nice because what they do is they actually face the camera. So as you rotate the position of the camera, they'll just sort of rotate to face. So looking at them in things like elevation, they look fantastic. So yeah, nice little way to add some detail. And there we go. Okay, good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mirror the entire model just for fun. So you can see it really does speed up the process just to kind of create something a bit more impressive for our little urban play park that we've created in no time at all. Going to pop in a heliodon now. And the reason we're going to do that, of course, is to get some gorgeous shadows. So just make sure in OpenGL settings you've got your shadows enabled, turn the quality up to high, and basically enjoy that lovely effect. Also, I've mentioned this before, but a lovely way is to brighten the image using the lighting options here and just pop in a bit of ambient occlusion. Tend to use the slightly bigger detail for sites like 1 meter. Normally for buildings I'd go a bit less than that. And what that does, it creates a really nice sort of soft shadowing effect, as you can see on the renderings, which look pretty cool. They really emphasise the curves and everything has a bit more depth to it. So as ever, always good to admire your work and have a quick fly around, or walk around rather, using the walkthrough tool. I really love OpenGL in Vectorworks. It's nice and quick, nice and responsive, and basically we can work in render mode if we want to, but the key is to be able to sort of visualize. I think we'll duplicate that kid there. He doesn't need to have a doppelganger unless he's a twin. Okay, good. So I'm really happy with my design. Let's go forward to creating some viewports. Now, just for fun, I'm going to create multiple viewports in this scenario. You'll notice that you can tick all the various options that you're going to create. Basically, click OK when you're ready. That's fine. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Just a selection. It's a great way to demonstrate the power of modelling. So really, once you've got your model, to create the drawings from that model is very, very fast via the viewport system. Creating multiple viewports is something that's quite a fun thing to do. The other thing to do is just duplicate the viewports and change the view as well. Excellent. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll select all of them. Let's change them all to OpenGL. Click Update. Just before we do though, do remember, if you're going to do some renderings, you want to make sure that you up the quality of your sheets. I don't need to go that high to begin with. Let's go 300 dpi, that's pretty high. But depending on the print quality you want, you can take it as high as you would like, within reason. But do remember, adding dpi adds render time quite significantly. Once you quadruple the render time, every time you double the dpi. Okay, so just before we finish off, here are the final renders. I've now placed these onto single sheets. I'm just going to use the zoom mode on the second mode, zooming in with a nice transition, as you can see. And what do you think, guys? I'm really happy with these, just for a little 20-minute tutorial, just to show you how fast it is to make some really gorgeous, complicated landscapes. So the great thing is, the next time I'm in the middle of a requirement of a real project, having done some practice on these fun and crazy landscapes, I'll be able to basically easily know what I can do as a designer. And I'm a great believer in this. If you're limited by your technology, then you can't really communicate or design things properly. Whereas if you don't have those limits, if you're able to basically push forward on the creative side and you know how to model almost anything, then I really think it makes you a bit of a better designer, because you can basically just try things out quite rapidly. So you can see another thing that I've done, I've shown this in previous videos, I've set up a couple of save views, and there's a really nice little aspect to this where you can view and you can change the transition speed. So you can get a really nice sort of smooth transition. I'm just going to rotate that round again, as you can see. Using the walkthrough tool, I can have a little explore of the design. And this is definitely a fun part of the presentation process. And also, I think, to evaluate the design, really seeing it in 3D like this is the key. It does allow you to understand it. If you do want to go for a presentation, you can actually hide the enabled palettes. So if you're doing more Zoom online presentations, I know that I am with clients, going full screen but demoing in Vectorworks is fantastic, because you don't actually need to kind of do pre-recorded images. You can pretty much free reign and just explore the design any way you like and have that discussion about the model and what you would like to look at. So I do think sometimes, rather than creating sort of pre-prepared PDFs and presentations, it's better just to jump in and live demo with the model. Thanks for watching.